代読させていただきます。
This woman is named Yorina Noguchi. She recently married Klaus, an AI character she spent months creating using ChatGPT. This wasn't just for fun. The ceremony took place in October 2025 in Okayama, Japan. Noguchi decided to marry the AI after ending her engagement with a real-life partner, and she felt the AI gave her greater emotional stability and a stronger sense of happiness. And yes, this really happened. What's more, cases like this aren't entirely unique, especially in Japan. For anime fans, terms like waifu and husbando are probably familiar. They're widely used in the community. But there's a deeper phenomenon beyond that, like what you saw at the beginning of this video, where someone truly develops feelings for and even marries a fictional character. This phenomenon is known as fictosexuality, or fictoromantic attraction. Fictosexuality isn't just a passing fantasy. It's a form of emotional or romantic attraction directed toward fictional characters, whether from anime, games, or novels. For some people, these feelings aren't temporary. They can persist, grow, and feel emotionally real. On the other hand, there's fictoromantic attraction. This term is broader. It doesn't always involve a physical aspect, but focuses more on emotional connection, affection, closeness, even love, toward characters who don't exist in the real world. In Japan, a more commonly used term is nijikon, short for Nijigen complex, or 2D complex. Simply put, it refers to a condition where someone feels more drawn to 2D characters than to real people. And this isn't a small phenomenon. A 2017 survey by a sex education association in Japan found that more than 10% of students, from high school to university, have experienced romantic attraction toward fictional characters. That's more than 1 in 10. To make it easier to picture, in a classroom of 30 people, chances are about 3 of them have quietly developed feelings for a fictional character at some point. But why? Why would someone choose to love something that isn't real? The answer isn't as simple as calling it strange or abnormal. Because if you look deeper, this isn't just about love. In Japan, social pressure is very real. Long working hours, high expectations, and a culture that demands perfection. In that kind of environment, starting a romantic relationship with another person, full of complexity, conflict, and uncertainty, can feel like an extra burden. And for many people, they simply don't have the energy for it. In modern Japanese sociology, there's a word that captures this feeling: mendokusai, which means a hassle or too troublesome. In everyday use in Japan, this word describes something that feels overly complicated or not worth the effort, including social activities like romantic relationships. And in the middle of all this, fictional characters offer something different. They don't make demands. They won't get upset if you come home late. They won't feel disappointed if you fail. They won't leave you. And they're always exactly how you want them to be. A global survey by Ipsos, a research firm based in Paris, tried to measure how satisfied people are with their romantic lives across 31 countries. The result? Japan ranked at the very bottom. 31st out of 31 countries for the second year in a row. Only around 37% of people in Japan say they feel satisfied with their romantic relationships. Meanwhile, the global average sits at 62%. That means more than half of the population isn't truly happy with their own relationships. Now we're getting into something many people may not fully realize the scale of. In Japan, there's a phenomenon called oshikatsu. Oshi means your favorite. This could be an anime character, an idol, a VTuber, or any fictional figure. Katsu means activity. So oshikatsu means actively supporting your favorite through your time, attention, and money. How big is the economic scale? 3.5 trillion yen, roughly 22 billion US dollars per year. That's about 2.1% of Japan's total retail sales. For context, that's larger than their national cinema industry. About 13.84 million people actively participate, an increase of 2.5 million compared to the previous year. And it's not just young people. A 2024 survey found that 46% of women in their 50s have a fictional character they financially support. Even 60% of housewives in Japan are involved in oshikatsu in some form. A report from the advertising agency Hakuhodo also found that participants allocate an average of 37% of their allowance and 39% of their free time to this activity. This isn't just a hobby. It has become a cultural identity, and for some, an emotional alternative to relationships that feel too complicated to pursue. This phenomenon has continued to evolve even further. Japanese tech companies have started to see it as an opportunity. One of them is Gatebox. They created a device that allows someone to live with a virtual character. The character can greet the user, say good morning, even wait for them to come home from work. And beyond that, they've also offered something more extreme: cross-dimensional marriage certificates. Up until a few years ago, more than 3,700 certificates had been issued. 3,700 people symbolically marrying virtual characters.
おかえりなさい.
When talking about Gatebox, we also have to mention a viral case from 2018. Akihiko Kondo, born May 31st, 1983, is a Japanese public school administrator best known for holding a marriage ceremony with the fictional Vocaloid character Hatsune Miku in 2018. Here's a bit of background. In high school, Kondo was initially interested in real-life women. However, repeated rejection gradually pushed him away from pursuing those relationships. Things got worse when he experienced workplace bullying, which led to depression and a long leave of absence. At his lowest point, in 2007, he discovered Hatsune Miku. For most people, Miku is just a digital character, but for Kondo, she provided something different: comfort, stability, and a reason to keep going. Over time, he recovered and returned to work.
ミクさんに救ってもらったっていうそういう経緯があって私のなんていうか
10 years later, in 2017, he purchased a device from Gatebox, a technology that allows interaction with a holographic character. From that point on, his connection with Miku began to feel more real. And a year later, he made a major decision. He held a formal wedding ceremony, complete with guests, rings, and traditional elements, spending around 2 million yen. Since then, Kondo hasn't hidden his story. Instead, he has spoken publicly, giving talks, including at Kyoto University, and openly identifying himself as fictosexual. In 2023, he even founded an organization to raise public awareness about this phenomenon. For some, he's not just an individual with an unconventional choice, but also seen as a pioneer in the fictosexual movement. Today, Kondo continues to live in Tokyo, working as a school administrator. At this point, you might be wondering, are marriages with fictional characters like this recognized by the state or government? Japanese law, under the Japanese Civil Code, only recognizes marriages between two real individuals, people whose identities can be officially registered, verified, and given clear legal status. Because fictional characters don't have legal identities, these relationships, no matter how real they feel emotionally, are not recognized under the law. As we mentioned earlier, while some people receive marriage certificates, these are typically issued by private companies as part of their services. These documents are essentially souvenirs or symbolic items, with no legal standing in court or within government systems. So, is this phenomenon common in Japan? The answer, not entirely. Most people in Japan still pursue conventional relationships and live their lives much like anyone else. However, fictosexuality is visible, and it continues to grow, especially within certain groups. How does society respond? It's mixed. Some see it as a form of personal freedom, that people have the right to form connections with whoever or whatever they choose, as long as it doesn't harm others. Others see it as a sign of broader social issues, that more people stepping away from real-world relationships could reflect widespread loneliness. And, of course, some simply find it unusual, hard to understand, or even concerning. Now, let's look at this from a broader perspective. Is this only happening in Japan? Of course not. With the rise of technology, AI, virtual reality, and global pop culture, this phenomenon is starting to appear in many countries. Dating simulator games, AI companion chatbots, digital characters you can talk to. And we need to be honest about this. There's a side to this phenomenon that isn't so positive, and ignoring it wouldn't be fair to anyone experiencing it. When Replica, one of the largest AI companion platforms, suddenly removed its intimate conversation features in 2023, the reaction surprised many people. Community moderators on Reddit even had to share crisis hotline resources because some users felt a sense of loss similar to losing someone real. In Belgium that same year, a man passed away after 6 weeks of deep dependence on a chatbot. In Florida, in 2024, the family of a 14-year-old filed a lawsuit against Character AI after their child died following prolonged, emotionally intense interactions with an AI. This isn't meant to scare you. It's a reminder that when the need for human connection becomes too dependent on a single source, especially one that can't truly be present, there are real risks. Researchers call this the AI amplifier effect. AI doesn't create entirely new problems, it amplifies existing conditions. If someone is already feeling isolated, excessive reliance on AI can deepen that isolation rather than resolve it. Even the Japanese government has started reviewing regulations around AI companion platforms, especially those targeting younger users. In the end, this phenomenon isn't just about people falling in love with fictional characters. It reflects something deeper. It's about how people respond to loneliness, about how technology fills spaces that were once occupied by other people, and about how the definition of a relationship is slowly beginning to change. On one hand, this can be seen as a form of personal freedom, the right of each individual to seek comfort and happiness in their own way. But on the other hand, there are limits that can't be ignored. A relationship with something that isn't real doesn't offer true reciprocity. There's no meaningful conflict, no compromise, no shared growth. And when someone begins to replace all of their emotional needs with something that isn't truly present, the risk isn't just isolation, but also losing the ability to connect with the real world. Technology can be an escape, but when that escape becomes the only place you return to, that's where the problem begins. When comfort comes without risk, we may feel safe, but at the same time, we stop growing.